Vikings fans, we're going to take a look at some cut and trade candidates coming up here in just a few moments. But first, the month of June here at Chat Sports, we have a challenge among all of our channels, and that is likes. So whichever challenge or whichever channel gets the most likes this month is going to win a big prize, and we'll show that audience some love as well. So hey, Vikings smaller channel right now, but hey, show off and let's beat at least all the other small channels here at Chat Sports. It'll help us grow. It'll help us bring you more videos. So like this video and every other video during the month of June. You're watching Vikings Now by Chat Sports. Harrison Graham here to take a look at some cut and trade candidates as all 32 NFL teams will have to take a look at ways to trim their roster now that June 1st is come and gone. Some guys are easier to move on from. We'll get to that list here in just a moment. But before we do, name a player that you think the Vikings should just get rid of, tear the Band-Aid, cut them loose, and let them move on. Let us know in the comments. Maybe there's a player that you're frustrated with and don't want to watch play anymore. All right, let's start with Wyatt Davis, the offensive guard, who could get traded. If not, maybe he could get cut as well. Just depends on how things go this offseason. Savings are the same regardless of cut or trade, and that's true for all these guys on today's show. Would save just under $1 million, so nothing major. It would be more of a roster kind of management type of situation. But you look at this offensive line, Davis, just really hasn't been able to put it all together. He's a little bit buried on the depth chart as well. Going to have to compete just to even make this roster. Maybe a desperate team out there that needs some guard depth would throw a day 3 pick at Wyatt Davis, as he was a fairly decent prospect coming out several years ago, but we'll just have to wait and see where he ends up. So Wyatt Davis, our first candidate on offense. We'll get to some more in a moment, but who do you think what do you think is the biggest need on offense for the Minnesota Vikings? Let me know what you guys think down in the comments section. Biggest need for this team offensively. Bisi Johnson could be a potential cut candidate. I don't think he would draw any trade interest from a team, but if you want to save just under $1 million in a crowded wide receiver room, Johnson could be a guy that you move on from. And while $1 million doesn't sound like a lot right now, teams like having 5, 6, 7, 8 million during the season to play with because injuries pop up. You got to sign players, trade for guys, and that million could come into play. Now, through 2 seasons, we've seen some signs. 3 touchdowns, almost 500 yards, but he's purely a depth guy right now. We have him at wide receiver 4 for the time being, but Smith-Marsette, who's battling an injury right now, he could easily take that role. You signed Albert Wilson, who I think is actually a great number 4 receiver in the NFL. He's not a top 3 guy, but as a number 4 guy, he can really contribute for you. We'll see if he can be that guy for this team. Let's be honest, after Jefferson Thielen and KJ Osborne, who emerged last season, it's kind of anyone's game. I mean, let's just be clear about that. It's going to be heavy competition. Kevin O'Connell and this offensive staff are going to have to figure out who rounds out this position when the Vikings trim down to a 53-man roster. Johnson could be someone that they move on from. Let's go to Alexander Mattison, who I do think would draw some trade interest if teams need a running back. Maybe this could be like a training camp type of move if someone gets injured on a different team and he ends up being expendable for Minnesota. I mean, such a team-friendly deal. I'd be hesitant to move on from Mattison because he's done some good things. But when you look at this running back room, obviously you have Dalvin Cook, who when he's healthy, he gets a bunch of touches. You drafted Ty Chandler. You got a couple of other guys in the mix as well. I think if Chandler shows a lot this offseason training camp, maybe Mattison becomes more expendable. If not, though, Mattison's one of the best RB2s in the NFL. He really is. That's why I think he would draw some interest on the trade market. Now, he didn't have the best, yards per carry last year at 3.7, but every time Dalvin Cook misses time or misses a game, he always comes in, gives you 15 to 18 touches, and produces. I mean, he really, really does. I would be hesitant to move him, but that could depend on how the rookie Chandler performs. So what do you guys want to do with Alexander Mattison? Type T for trade, C for cut, or K for keep? I would lean toward keeping him, but what if a desperate team throws you like a 5th-round pick? That could be enticing as well. I'm definitely not cutting him. unless something unforeseen happens during training camp. Vikings fans, we're trying to get to 5,000 subscribers here on the channel. We're getting closer and closer, just over 600 away, 660 to be exact. Help us reach our goal. Once you reach 5,000 subs, you're kind of able to do a little bit more here at Chat Sports. It's very much, size of the channel dependent. The channels with more subscribers, they get more videos. That's how it works. Help us get to 5K by hitting that subscribe button. All right, let's take a look at some defensive and special teams cut and trade candidates. DJ Wonnum, who I think could fetch you a pick in a trade. Not a high pick, but maybe a day 3 pick. Would save you about $900,000. Kind of like the offensive lineman, Wyatt Davis, couldn't think of his name for a second. I think similar in terms of they've done some things and they haven't, lived up to expectations. Last year actually played pretty well, though, which is why I'd be hesitant to move him as well. But if someone throws you a good pick for DJ Wonnum, okay, that's a little bit intriguing to me. There's been Danielle Hunter trade buzz, but I think he's going to be here for the long haul as well. We'll see what happens with Wonnum. Kris Boyd, the cornerback out of Texas, who's flashed at times, but has been a little bit inconsistent. And obviously the Vikings invested a lot in the cornerback position this offseason. They brought back Patrick Peterson, made a pick in the draft as well. Save about $1 million if you move on from him. Is there a spot for Kris Boyd? I don't know. I mean, I think he could be like a number 4 corner for you if you decide to go that route. But the fact that Andrew Booth was there in the second round, they were able to scoop him up. Dantzler is a guy they're committed to. Sullivan's going to play nickel. Where does Kris Boyd fit? Is he CB5? I don't know. I mean, unless Booth or Dantzler just do not show that they are ready to start or play at a high level, I think Kris Boyd's in trouble unless he's can prove he can be a key special teams guy. What is the biggest need on the Vikings defense? Obviously, cornerback was a position of concern this offseason, but I feel better about where they sit in the secondary as of now. Curious to see what Vikings fans think right there. All right, Chazz Surratt, the linebacker, who I think would fetch us something in a trade as well. Again, $900,000 or so in savings if he were to get cut or get traded. I kind of like Chazz Surratt. I would probably lean toward keeping him, but you added Jordan Hicks, so that kind of makes him a little bit expendable. Obviously, coming off the edge there, you've got your key pieces as well. Brian Asamoah out of Oklahoma, who they feel pretty good about, could be a future starter. So maybe that hurts Surratt's chances moving forward. We'll have to wait and see how the Vikings feel about him. And yes, a kicker, Greg Joseph. Could he get cut? I think it's possible because they added Gabe Burkich out of Oklahoma. I believe is a UDFA. Is that correct? UDFA. He did not get drafted. But you pick up a kicker who was one of the best college kickers over the last several years. If he proves he's at least on par with Greg Joseph, you can save $2.5 million by moving on from Joseph, who would likely get a starting job elsewhere. But $2.5 million is real money for a kicker. I mean, you pay Burkich, $600,000-700,000, whatever the rookie UDFA minimum is, and you would be, a net $1.5-2 million in money if you want to go that route. Should the Vikings dump Greg Joseph? What do you think? Type Y for yes, type N for no. Producer Sam is an Oklahoma alum, so he clearly says yes. Let us know what Vikings fans are feeling in the comments. All right, that'll do it for us here on Minnesota Vikings Now by Chat Sports. If you want more videos, just subscribe. YouTube.com/Vikings Today is the link. That's in the comments as well and in the description. I'm Harrison Graham from Chat Sports. We'll see you soon here on the channel.